What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Shots on Target podcast. I know it's been a while, but we're back and better than ever. My name is Phil, joined by my man Jakey as always.
What's up, guys? I'm so happy to be back.
And of course, you have seen us teasing on Twitter. We have a new third member, Mikhail, Football Oracle. Introduce yourself.
Yo, what's the story, people? Michał Strigotski in the house. I am honored to be a part of this illustrious group of people, and I can't wait to get started, lads. So, yeah, let's kick it on.
Fantastic. All right, so as you guys know by reading the title, this is our transfer window rundown. There's going to be 2 episodes, this one, and then there's going to be a following one. We're going to do the first 10 teams in this episode, and then we're going to do the other 10 teams. We'll go 1 to 10, Arsenal to Fulham, and then 11 to 20, Leeds to Wolves in the following episode. So make sure you tune in for that one as well. But starting off, lads, we have got Arsenal. Who
Yep.
would like to kick us off?
I'll let you take it away, Phil.
Alrighty. Well, in terms of what Arsenal fans would have wanted from this transfer window, I think they pretty much got everything they wanted. They've signed good centre back cover in Hincapi, another good box to box midfielder in Zubamendi, a fantastic creative player in Eze, and an up and coming winger in Madueke, and they finally got their goal scorer Gyökeres. On top of a couple of other additions, in terms of losing anyone, they didn't really lose anyone you expect them to. No one really came in for any of the big names at Arsenal. So in terms of a rating, I've given them an A. I think it's been a very good transfer window for Arsenal. They've definitely spent the money to impose a title challenge on the likes of Liverpool, City, etc. this year, more so than usual. I think Arsenal fans will be very happy with what they've done in the transfer window. Obviously, they've just taken the loss to Liverpool, which is obviously a big blow for them. And obviously, a lot of people were talking about how bad of a poor performance. They pretty much went out for the draw. But I think in terms of just the transfer window itself, I think it's been a very, very good transfer window for the Gunners.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Similar thinking. I've also given them an A. I think they've got pretty much everything that they needed from the window. You know, last season they were calling out for that number 9. You know, having to play Mikel Merino up front at times, and Kai Havertz, who we all know is a woeful footballer. But yeah, they've got their marquee, they've got their number 9, the one thing that they have been calling out for a very, very long time. And yeah, I think Arsenal, while not perfect, I still do think they can perform better at times. I think they're more set up now with them signings that you say, with Madueke, with Zubamendi, that young Mosquera who came in for Saliba after he got injured, looked very, very good.
Yeah, he did.
And yeah, I think A, can't go wrong with it.
All right, and Mikhail.
I'm just going to go very boring. A as well. Mosquera, a very promising centre back, someone who I personally wanted to Liverpool. Just for, what, 50 million euros? Great option to have. I'm also looking at some of the departures. Like, no one really sticks out. Like Tierney back at Celtic, none of Tavares on a permanent to Lazio. Yaka Kivior on loan to FC Porto. That's probably going to be confirmed as permanent later down the line. Yeah, like, I'm looking at all the individual players. Madueke, finally, there's some competition for Bukayo Saka, because that poor fella has been overplayed. Hinkapi on loan, brilliant. Definitely the ideal replacement for Kivior, because whilst Kivior was excellent playing as a centre back, he didn't have the same quality as playing as this inverted fullback. And Hinkapi is well known to play both positions pretty well. The only real disappointment, maybe the left wing. Now, as good as Eze is a terrific footballer to watch. Is he the left winger that Arsenal need? I'm not too sure. His best performances will definitely come more centrally, just behind the striker of Gyökeres or Havertz. As for the left winger, Martinelli sticks out like a sore thumb for me. Especially against Liverpool, he offered no threat, especially against a right back version of Szoboszlai, who will obviously invert into the midfield. This was a brilliant opportunity for Martinelli to prove his worth, and he didn't. It's just that's the only real sore area for me. The left wing spot is still a bit of a mystery, but overall, like the depth is superb at Arsenal, and they have no excuses. They need to start winning trophies, or else questions will arise about Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm not a huge fan of Martinelli myself. I think that is a problem position for Arsenal. Obviously, looking to plug it with Eze. Obviously, remains to be seen how well he'll do. There's been a lot of times where that big person at a little club goes to the big club and it doesn't work out for them. Jack Grealish being a huge one, left Villa to City, had one good season, but has struggled since, and now is looking good again, being back at a small club in Everton. So it does remain to be seen.
Yeah,
But
that's just what I'm concerned about with Eze. Will Mikel Arteta utilize him properly? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
yeah. All right, so we all went with the A rating, so we don't really need to do the math on that one. I think our combined rating is A for Arsenal. All righty, so moving swiftly on, we have Aston Villa. I'll let you take this one away, Jakey.
Yeah, a bit of a disappointing one for Villa. I think the signings of Gesand, well, the signing of Gesand, because they didn't really bring anyone in other than Lindelof, and then the two loan signings right at the end. I've gone with a D. You know, the loan signings of Elliott and Sancho, while probably it's not financially suitable for Villa at the minute, are still very good signings. Only losing Ramsey as the big loss from the team, I don't think's bad. If you look at the quality that Villa team does have, you've got a few names that were still on the books, costing a lot of money. Coutinho, Moreno, both gone. Dendoncker gone. So not an awful window, but I don't think a window any Villa fan can really be happy with, especially with their PSR struggles. I think a D is kind of it. That's all I can give them.
Okay, Mikhail.
I went for D minus for Aston Villa. I'm going to be harsh here because what discussions me, a lot of Villa's decisions have come to bite them in the arse. Basically, like you look at the Douglas Luiz deal to Juve, and then Samuel Illing Jr. and Enzo Barnakea arriving to Aston Villa in the same window. Guess what? Both of them have left on loan again. Barnakea has gone to Benfica and has been a first team starter. He would have been a brilliant little deep lying playmaker option at Villa. And as for Erling Jr., he's went to West Brom on loan, not even a fee. I'm looking at the arrivals of Gesant, solid little player. I think Palace should have had a look at his acquisition because he can play as that shadow striker or next to someone like a Mateta in the second striker role. Lindelof, it's just Clement Longley Mark II, isn't it? It's just going to be underwhelming, unremarkable, lacking physicality, probably going to get mugged off for several of the goals. Elliott has something to prove at the Villa. This is the one that has hurt the Liverpool fans a bit. But let's be honest here, he was never going to get minutes under Arne's slot. And it's his time to prove his worth, especially wearing the number 9 shirt. As for Jadon Sancho, it's just not the same player he was at Dortmund, wasn't he? He doesn't have the pace of a winger in the Premier League. How well he will perform on the Emery remains to be seen. Or also, let's not forget about Mark Bisot, a man who's been immortalized in the Premier League folklore, especially after Unai Emery's interview, where he just repeatedly called
Really
out his
said
name.
his name. Yeah.
Mark Bisot, incredible, especially in game week 3. Yeah, if I'm a Villa fan, I'd be concerned because also no centre forward to provide any competition for Ollie Watkins, who may or may not be on a decline. No goals in the first 3 games, reaching 30 years old. Like, there's too much dependence on him to excel, and you needed some competition. Even like a Georges Mikel who's gone to Villarreal, he would have been a brilliant alternative. Dunya Malin is clearly not in Emery's plans. Like, his off-the-ball capabilities are woeful, as Dortmund fans would tell you. And yeah, it's a D minus for me.
Okay. So for me, I think I was actually a bit nice to Aston Villa. I gave them a C minus, just because of that deadline day signing of Harvey Elliott. I do think it's a good signing. I was really hoping West Ham would get their hands on Harvey Elliott, but couldn't get a deal done, unfortunately. Evan Gassand, like you guys say, is also a good signing. But it was a very quiet window for a team that's been consistently qualifying for European competitions the last few years. Unai Emery has been in charge, and you expected them to push on and make a couple of major signings, and that really just wasn't the case in this window. They've obviously lost Asensio and Rashford, who they had on loan at the end of last season, who were pivotal players for them, especially Asensio. If I was a Liverpool fan, a Villa fan, I would have been begging for Asensio to sign on a perm, but wasn't the case. And yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered everything I was going to say. I think that they will hit their stride again, but I don't think it will last. I think it'll be one of those where they'll perform well for 3 or 4 games, maybe 5. But then as soon as the European competition really kicks in and the dreaded weekend fixture list begins, Villa's squad is going to struggle big time.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so I gave them a C minus. JQ gave them a D, and Mikhail gave them a D minus. So shall we settle on a D then?
Yeah.
I think D is fair. Yeah, I
D's
was just
fair.
extra harsh just because of the like. It just doesn't help their PSR at all. Like it just shows.
Yeah. It showed straight away as soon as they had to let go of Jacob Ramsey. You could tell they was struggling because he's a very good player. So letting him go would not have been an easy decision.
Just the past business has been hurting Villa. Like you're losing Dendonka, Alex Marino for nothing. Courtney House also has left for nothing. Like it's just hurtful business has really come to bite Villa in the arse. So I have to give them D minus, unfortunately.
With you. All right. So moving on to Bournemouth. Mikhail, I'll let you take this one away.
I gave Bournemouth a C minus. This will be harsh, but I cannot overlook the departures, especially in the defensive areas. Ilya Zabani, gone. Milos Kerkez, gone to Liverpool. Who else? Kepa, gone as well. And Neto gone on a free. Georgia Petrovic, is he ready for the Prem? Like, I know Chelsea fans adored him, but like, is he really this steady, reliable keeper that is required to keep Bournemouth in the Prem? Especially for a Bournemouth team who are teetering in the European spots. Only time will tell. Ben Doak for 25 million. It's a risk. It's an unnecessary risk, in my opinion, because he has done nothing in the Premier League to warrant even that price tag. I think it's just again Liverpool mugging off Bournemouth, as we've done previously with the likes of Solanke and Jordan Ibe. DKT from Lille, excellent centre back. I remember several lads who support Liverpool were calling his name as a potential centre back option, and maybe just that move to Bournemouth will be the precedent for a bigger move down the line. Annie Madley, we need to wait and see for the Moroccan fella. He has had horrific luck with injuries during his Leverkusen days, but will be a solid option. Dango Atara's departure, whilst he wasn't most prolific, he was one of those players who you need to watch to properly enjoy and appreciate. Alex Jimenez on loan from AC Milan is a very exciting signing. Very exciting loan arrival. He will replace the departing Max Aarons perfectly. Overall, solid arrivals, but those departures, I can't overlook those departures, lads. I really can't.
Yeah.
Even Philip Billings' departure to FC Midtjylland would surprise me. Would have been a decent depth option. Like, how do you go from Napoli to FC Midtjylland? And one more departure that would surprise people: Luis Sinisterra going on loan to Cruzeiro. Odd loan deal, very odd. Did he fall out with Iriola? Is he just not Premier League proven anymore? Like, we just don't know. Oh, I can't overlook those departures, lads. So C minus.
Hi. So, like Mikhail, I've given them a C minus also. This one was a strange one for me because, like you say, on the one hand, they've lost some big players in Dean Howson, Watara, Zabani, Kirkes, but they've spent over 100 million. And in regards to their spending, like you say, some good players, some question marks with Ben Doak. I mean, Adley, they're both young, could have both bright futures. And Bournemouth just have this way where they always seem to find a way to make it work no matter what happens. They'll lose big players, they'll bring in um, new ones, a bit like Brighton in that aspect. I think it definitely could have been a bit better, judging on what other chasing European teams have done in the market. But Bournemouth have proved me wrong once before, and it wouldn't surprise me if they prove me wrong again. So I've gone with a C- on this one. Jakey?
I've gone extremely harsh. I've got a D.
Ooh.
I think looking at the names that they've brought in, while yes, good names at their respective clubs, it doesn't replace the quality in what's gone out. Now, going into the season, they could prove me wrong. They could stay in and around the top half. But I think if you look at the players that have gone, you've lost your spine essentially. You've lost your starting goalkeeper, both starting centre backs, your starting left back. Max Aarons, who, while not a brilliant right back, was still a good right back for them. Outara, like a promising, very promising young player, gone. I think it's going to be a very weird season for Bournemouth, and with what they've sold, I don't think they've replaced well enough. That's why I can't go any higher than a D. I think to lose, a good 50-60% of that starting 11 and not really replace it with similar quality is a bit of a worry.
Yeah.
So I've given them a D. I've gone quite harsh.
I totally get where you're coming from. I think for me, it was just a weird one with Bournemouth because, like I say, you can never write them off. They always manage to find these superstars out of nowhere. So I can totally understand where you're coming from with the D. But I believe with mine and Mikhail's C-, that gives us our average of a C- for Bournemouth.
Yeah, has
Yep.
to be done, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully better things to come for Bournemouth fans. So we'll move on to Brentford. And I'll kick this one off. Just like Bournemouth, I've given them a C-. I'm quite unimpressed with their summer window. Just like Bournemouth, they began to lose one. They began the transfer window losing one of the biggest players in Brian Mbeumo to United, and then they ended the window losing their other biggest attacking talent, Johan Wissa. And in between that, they also lost a solid midfielder in Christian Norgard, which is one of the weirdest signings of the window for me. I get it's going to be a squad player for Arsenal, but is he really ever going to play Norgard? I just don't see the business there at all. Obviously, going forward, they did bring in Watara for 42 million and a couple of unknown qualities in Antoni Milambo from Feyenoord and Mikhail Coyote from Fiorentina. So it does remain to be seen how well they will do this season. But if I'm just judging them on their transfer window, they lost their best attacking duo, didn't really replace them, so I had to go with a C-.
Yeah, I can see it. I've gone very similar. I've gone a C- as well. I think if you look at just the fees that they got for these players, I think that bumps up the window as a whole for them. Is Mbeumo a €75 million player? I don't think so. I think they've had the
Probably
pants
not.
pulled down with that amount of money. United in that sense. 57 million for Wissa, again a very good player, but a 28-year-old paying nearly 60 million. Again, I don't think it's smart business from the buying clubs, but I think it's very good business for Brentford. And then you look at the signings they brought in. Kvin Kelleher is a phenomenal signing for as cheap as he was as well at 15 million. Jordan Henderson on a free. People can say what they want about him, but he's experienced, and that's kind of what you need when you lose a player like Norgard. It's not a like for like,
Yeah.
but I'd say an experience is a like for like. Um,
Do you not think Henderson's past it though for the Prem?
For the Prem, maybe yes, but the fact it was a free, I'd still say it's not a bad signing. He's a
Yeah.
winner, and yeah, even at a team like Brentford, you can't not look at that as a good thing to have a winner in the team. And then they've added with youth, they've got Coyote and Milambo, who are both very young, promising players. I know Coyote was there last season and didn't look a bad player by any stretch for someone so young coming into the league. And Watara, we've seen what he can do with Bournemouth. He can pop up out of nowhere. So yeah, I think a C minus is fair for more so for what they've got financially than what they've spent.
Okay, Mikael.
Well then, I think I'm the only harsh one here, lads. I'm in for a D minus. This may be harsh, but I'm sorry, I can't overlook the departures. Your captain, gone. Visa, gone for a huge fee, but the problem is you haven't replaced him. Like maybe Dango Tara is gonna be the replacement. Maybe he will be the central forward player next to Igor Thiago, who's been popping up with the goals as well. But I don't know, man. Mark Flecken departing, even Kelleher coming in. I think that's gonna be a stupid business. Just the Silva being released, or Ursa going to Southampton for an undisclosed fee. Just an overall bad window for Brentford. So much leadership, so much of the core spine in the attacking areas departing the club. And is Jonah Henderson really that guy in the Premier League anymore? Yes, he may offer some leadership behind the scenes, but I don't know, lads. I think this is the season where Brentford will go down, unfortunately. Especially with a rookie
Take.
manager like Keith Andrews. Oh, Jesus, don't even get me started off Keith Andrews' appointment. It just reeks of arrogance. They think that, oh, we're this data operating team. We don't need a first team manager. We'll be fine with the data. You need someone to lead that team to success. Someone with experience at least. Keith Andrews has no experience whatsoever. He was a set piece coach. Nah, D minus for me, lads. I'm sorry.
Hey.
I think
Hey,
that
well,
equals out at about a D plus,
yeah,
roughly.
I'd say so.
I think roughly.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's fine. D plus it is for Brentford. Sorry, Brentford fans. Okay, moving swiftly on. We have Brighton. Jakey, I'll let you take this one away.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on Brighton because in one stretch it doesn't look like a very exciting window for them. They brought in a lot of players, spent a lot of money, but I think it's just a very Brighton window. You know, their most expensive acquisition is an 18-year-old from Olympiacos. I've never personally heard of him. Um, Tom Watson, I think it's Tom Watson. I might be wrong. From Sunderland, obviously scored the winner in the playoff final.
Playoff final. Yeah.
Buscagli on a free, I think, is tremendous business because he's a very, very good centre back. Same with Coppola, young giant of a man. And while yes, they have lost quite a lot. João Pedro for 63, Adingra going to Sunderland, strengthening another, not a team that'll be in and around them, but another Premier League team. Estupinan going to AC Milan, and then Chelsea doing Chelsea things with Barco and Ciso. How they are still allowed to do this, I will never know. Yeah, it's just a weird transfer window for Brighton, and I don't really know where to place them. And I'm gonna go safe, and I'm gonna say C, because I could either look like a twat, or it could be a stroke of genius.
Ah, Jesus.
All right, Mikael, go on. You're up, mate.
C minus. This may be the most controversial one for me, lads. I'm in for C
minus.
minus. Now, hear me on this. I think this is the one that has the most disappointing aspect of it because, like, I'm looking at players who departed the club: Tarek Lamptey, Julian Cesar, Abdullah Sima, Matt O'Reilly on loan, by the way, who was starting for Brighton, having on deadline day. Like, how? Simon Adingra, Estupinian. Am I the only one who feels like a lot of these players departed for lower fees than people would have expected? Especially for the likes of Bark or Lamptey and Seesaw. players who departed for barely anything in the footballing world. And I'm looking at the arrivals. Tom Watson, will he get game time? I don't know. Costalas for 35 million euros. That's a ridiculous amount of pressure. The amount of hype he's receiving right now is ludicrous. And I do worry that Brighton may be shortchanged up front, especially with Evan Ferguson's departure on loan to Luma. Who's going to be that goal scorer up front? Danny Welbeck, who's now in his 30s. Crustalas, Stefano Tsimas, who could be the hidden gem, who arrived on January the previous season. You don't know, man. It's very. It's just what could have been transfer window basically in terms of the departures. I'm just looking at a lot of lads who haven't fulfilled their potential, departing for minimal fees, and yeah, one for C minus.
Hey, so just like you, Jakey, when I was looking at Brighton's transfer business, I was a bit like, where do I place these then? Because on the one hand, you've got a massive loss in a big player in João Pedro for a hefty price tag of 60 million, which I think is good business on both ends, to be honest. I think it's a good price tag, and I think Chelsea are obviously going to very much enjoy João Pedro. They did manage to bring in one of the hottest young talents in Europe. Apparently, he was linked with Bayern, Real Madrid, and United. So for Brighton to snap him up could be a stroke of genius. Remains to be seen. Like Mikel says, the pressure is going to be on him because obviously you've got Danny Welbeck up top in his 30s. I think it was a steady window for Brighton, but nothing out of the ordinary. It wouldn't surprise me if they do find the next European talent because for some reason every season they manage to do so. Within 2 seasons, they've got the next superstar, whether it be McAllister, João Pedro, Mitoma, whoever it may be. But I went with around about a C, just a basic, solid window, nothing crazy. So
The safe
yeah,
answer.
yes, a safe answer. Yeah, let's put it that
I
way.
think to be fair, like I just couldn't overlook like the missed potential of a lot of the departures. Like it just must be disappointing for Brian fans, especially like Lamptey. They hyped up to ridiculous levels, only going for 6 million euros to Fiorentina.
It
I
de-
don't know.
it definitely must be hard for Brighton fans because they literally are like Ajax, for example. They make these world superstars and then they just watch them go and flourish elsewhere. They don't really get to experience like McAllister, for example. You guys pulled their pants down for him, and now look at him. Do you know what I mean? Like it must be really frustrating for Brighton fans. But every year, like I said, they somehow find a way, whether it be their recruitment, the management, the training, whatever. Brighton, I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. They are one of the best run clubs in the Premier League, whether it be the fans, the boards, the manager, whoever. I think personally they're one of the best run clubs in the Premier League.
Can't
All right.
fault it.
I fold them, man. Sounds about
Uh,
right.
Alrighty, so moving swiftly on, we now head to Burnley. I'll let you kick it off, Mikhail.
Burnley, for a team that needed to invest in money to stay in the league, a little bit underwhelmed, to be honest with you. Why on earth did they decide, oh yeah, the best idea to make sure we're going to stay in the league, let's buy Chelsea rejects. Don't get me wrong, I do rate Leslie Ugochukwu. I think he's the one who will provide the most quality in the midfield. But Armando Broya, this is just a stupid, unnecessary risk. The guy's permanently injured. And that purple patch of form he had at Southampton, that was ages ago. And like a lot of the lads are coming back from loan spells at Burnley, like Marcus Edwards, Jane Anthony, Ian Fleming, Jacob Brown Lawson's a weird return that wasn't on the cards. Will he had something to the team? Probably not. Probably will be all dynamite off the ball, but will offer no end product. Florentino Luis, unknown. That could be exciting. He wasn't really a main starter at Benfica. Well, if he adds that steal to the midfield, and if he keeps them up, he deserves a statue outside of Turf Moor. Axel Tuanzebe, he'll be the next Sebastian Bassong. He just keeps on going from one relegated club to another. Von Dubravka's an interesting choice for a keeper. Bit erratic at times, but possesses decent shot stopping capabilities. Luan Chuana from Lazio for 15 million euros will provide competition for Marcus Edwards. Is he ready for the Premier League? Probably yes. You know what? I'm going to back him to score 7 goals, provide the team with 4 assists.
Okay,
In a
very
season, in a season that will result in relegation, but in general, C minus. I'll be safe.
okay. I've actually this is one of my lowest ratings. I've actually given them a D, gone a bit even lower than you. I think a team coming up from the Championship, you know what you have to do. You've got to try and bring in quality. You have to spend money. Yeah, they spent 80 to 100 million, but have they really spent it efficiently? I don't think so. They did bring in Carl Walker, which is a bit of Premier League quality, but let's be honest, the guy's past it. He was a defender that used his pace to get out of trouble. Doesn't really have that roaring pace anymore. I don't think personally. Some people might disagree. Um, Obviously, you named Okachukwu and Broha, but in terms of signings, I haven't really seen anything impressive. I think it's going to be a very tough season for Burnley. Even though they were very, very good last season in the Championship, it doesn't mean that you're going to be very, very good in the Premier League, unfortunately. You have to spend well, and you can make emergency signings in January, but let's be honest, no club wants to sell their big players in January. The summer is your window to sign players that are going to keep you in the Premier League, and then you build from that. And for me, Burnley just didn't do it and didn't cut it for me. So I've gone with a D. Jakey?
Yeah, a weird one because while yes, they like you said they have spent a lot of money. I don't think necessarily some of the signings are bad given it's Burnley. Um, Marcus Edwards going for 10 million, I think is a bit of incredible business. To be fair, very good player for Sporting, and he'll add quality to a team that needs it. Ogachukwu and Broha will be interesting ones because I don't think Broha's necessarily a bad player, and Ogachukwu I've just not seen enough of. On top of that, I think it's Bashir Humphreys. Might be wrong in that, but I think he was a defender for Chelsea. They just decided to raid Chelsea, like you said. But yeah, just a bit of a weird one. They've spent money, but not in the right areas, and not really on any.
I also just add, by the way, I'm looking at the departures of Burnley. It's not great financially. Like CJ Egan O'Reilly losing to Marseille for nothing. Etienne Green going for nothing as well. Masengo only going for what 3 million when he was worth like 15 couple of years ago. I don't think Burnley have adjusted well. They even let Aaron Ramsey go on loan to Leicester. Like, why not give him a chance in the Premier League?
That's a
I
very
just
weird
don't.
one. That
That's bizarre. It happened in Denmark. They Michael Obafemi to VFL Bochum as well. Like, I'm looking at the departures of Burnley, and it's not great. Like, some of those are free transfers that you could have sold them for loads of cash, like Egan O'Reilly especially, but I don't know, lads. This is just going to be a rough season for Burnley, I'm afraid.
I agree. When I was looking at the teams of the three promoted clubs, you've obviously got your standout for me in Sunderland. Then you've got Leeds, who have a pretty good team here or there, and then you've got Burnley for me. I think it's going to be a very tough season for them. But we'll move swiftly on to Chelsea, and I will take this one away. So, for any football fan that knows Chelsea, they are not scared of spending money and signing multiple players, and this window was no exception. The biggest signings being João Pedro for 60 million, which, like I said before, is a fantastic bit of business. They also managed to bring in Jamie Gittens from Dortmund, Delap, Hato, and Garnacho, with a couple of others, bringing their spending to just over £200 million. Personally, I think it's been a good window for Chelsea, probably one of their best. They were able to let go a lot of dead weight. As the manager came out and said, he doesn't want 40, 50 players on the squad list, so they had to trim it. The players they let go of didn't really break into the starting 11. Having just won the Conference League and then the Club World Cup, I think they were really looking to push on. Being back in the Champions League this year was obviously a big incentive for a lot of these players to sign for them and ready to make a statement. I don't quite see them as title challengers yet, but I do think they're on the right lines. I think they still need to come up with an idea for when, if and when Cole Palmer gets injured. Although they have got results without him, they do look a bit lost without Cole Palmer, and that's going to happen at some point again. One big injury, and that could really derail Chelsea. But all in all, I've given them an A minus. I'm excited to see what's to come at Chelsea. Like I said, they're not scared of spending money, but I think it has been a very good window for the Blues.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. I've gone a little bit harsher, maybe. I think for a team that's gone on to win the Club World Cup against the likes of PSG, to add the likes of like Garnacho, someone who didn't really light the world on fire at United, Delap, who, while I think is a very good striker, hasn't really hit the ground running. I think I have the benefit of hindsight with that one because obviously we're recording this a bit past deadline day now.
Yeah,
I've given them a B. I still think it's a very good window. They've shipped off a lot of players. I don't know if you can call it talent. The most notable one is getting what will be roughly about 70 million for Nicholas Jackson. How the fuck they've managed to do that, I will never know.
that's crazy.
But still, like the likes of Sunderland, like Lord and Mark Guay out to Sunderland and then calling them back before the window's even finished. All of the quote unquote dodgy dealing with Strasbourg because they are their part owned team.
Yeah, the parent.
Their parent club, I think, as they put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a weird one, and then obviously, I think that the more exciting transfers for me is Esteval. I think what he's shown since coming in, he looks a very, very exciting player. On top of what they've already got with João Pedro in that attack.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I think a B for me with Chelsea.
Okay, Miguel.
This may be a controversial one, lads. I'm gonna go for an A because I'm so impressed with how many players they've managed to sell on a permanent. Joao Felix for 30 million euros. Like, how? He'd just be whole after one season. Selling him to Everton for 28 million euros. The only one, like, this could be a bit of a rogue shout from me because I do rate the player, but he's not really mainstream. I do think that maybe selling Renato Vega to Villarreal might be a bit of a mistake. This is a centre back who can play also in midfield, and considering Levi Cole was out for majority of the season, I do think that if they kept Renato Vega, he would have provided some depth in that centre back spot. But like selling in Kuka to AC Milan, Noni Madueke to Arsenal for huge fees, like even the likes of Tony, Carney Chukwuemeka to Borussia Dortmund on a permanent. Bashir Humphries to Burnley. Like, they've managed to rack up a lot of income for mediocrity. And I have to applaud that, man. I know Chelsea are a bit of a controversial team to praise, but I'm not afraid to praise them when they do the right business. But so, yeah, and also the incomes are mostly great. Kittens could be a bit of a hit or miss signing. Garnacho has something to prove. Liam Delap, it's unfortunate that he suffered that injury, but Joao Pedro and Esteval bring it up for me. I think Hatta could be a bit of a gem as well. That's the one player who I really wanted at Liverpool over Kirkish for personal reasons. But yeah, A for me.
Hi. I think as well, it's obviously come out now since we're recording this video after deadline day. The Buonanotte situation, where he's signed for Chelsea
Oh,
to play Champions League football, and they haven't selected him in the squad. That's just a very Chelsea thing to do, unfortunately.
so weird. Ah,
It's,
poor fella.
I do feel sorry for a player like that because you had probably promised to play Champions League football, and then they've gone out and done that. So it does remain to be seen with Chelsea. They're such a weird club. You never know what they're going to bring. I think on average we would go about an A. Am I right? If you was a
That
B,
sounds
B
about right.
minus.
Yeah.
I think
You're-
that sounds about
Yeah. All right. So we'll stick with an A for Chelsea. A very good window for the Blues.
right.
So we'll now move on to Crystal Palace. I'll let you take this one away, Jakey.
Yeah, a weird one for Palace. And I think their window more relies on who they kept rather than who they got rid of. Obviously, coming off the back of a very good season, winning the FA Cup, even with the bullshit they've had to put up with regarding the whole Forest and owner situation, relegating them to the Conference League instead of the Europa League.
That's
Uh,
crazy. That.
yeah, wild stuff. But obviously, losing the likes of Eze was never going to be something Palace fans looked forward to. Amazing money, 60 plus million. For someone who is 27, I don't think you're going to get that money again. And the signings they have made very good signing. Jeremy Pino for 30 million, a player that's come with so much promise out of Spain. Canvot, I don't really know much about. I think can play left back, or he can play on the left or the right in defence and centre back. And Borna Sosa, who is another good defender. It's one of them. I think their window is more influenced by who they kept. Obviously, keeping Mark Guay late into the window. Yeah, I think a C. I don't think that's too harsh or too over the top.
Okay, Mikhail.
C minus for Crystal Palace for me. This may be harsh, but I'm just gonna put it in like this. You tried to replace Mark Gahey with Igor Julia from Brighton, and that didn't even happen. Like, this is such poor preparation. Like, did Crystal Palace not prepare any targets for Gahey's replacement? Like,
No,
I
they
just don't
tried to
understand.
keep him.
Yeah.
It's why not try to get some money from Gahey's sale and then replace him with several centre backs who would love to play in London as well, like especially in front of a passionate Crystal Palace fan. Like, I just don't understand. Bona Sosa, a player who used to be highly rated during his time at Stuttgart, to the point where even I thought personally he should have been the one to replace Marcus Alonso as that rogue shout. But like, he's an example of a player who, by missing out on a huge move, stagnated his career. Jeremy Pino's an excellent arrival, though. This is a right winger who I'm curious to see how he'll perform, because I feel he was slightly stagnating at Villarreal, who play a very stubborn 4-4-2 system that wasn't really allowing him to showcase his full capabilities. He had to do a lot of defensive work. And also, they signed Uche from Getafe as well, the centre forward. I think people have forgotten about that, on loan from Getafe. But like, keeping Mark Gahey and then, let's be honest, losing him on a free and not preparing yourselves for replacing him, I think that shows why Crystal Palace are where they are. That they are not really pushing for European places at this moment in time under Steve Parish's ownership. So for me, C minus.
Okay. So I totally agree with what you've both said. This is probably one of my rogue shouts of the video. I've given them a D. I think for me it's been an awful window for Crystal Palace. I think it was more a sense of trying to hold on to what they had rather than bringing in players. I think this is just the beginning, unfortunately, for Crystal Palace fans, which is unfortunate because they're actually one of the Premier League teams I actually enjoy watching. They play a lovely style of football that I enjoy watching. But I do feel like a whole rebuild is probably in the works for Crystal Palace. Um, Obviously, you managed to keep hold of Mark Gahey on deadline day. Now you're going to lose him on a free. You obviously lost Eze. Mateta's going to be someone that people are going to be coming for. Wharton, Munoz, big players. And I think it's only a matter of time before the big clubs come snatching for them as well, unfortunately. Like, imagine if Sesko doesn't work at United, it wouldn't surprise me if they come in for Mateta in January or something. It just wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. And when a club like United comes calling, you're not going to say no, are you? So for me, I don't think it's been a very good window at all. Obviously, Jeremy Pino is a good signing. Obviously, I haven't seen too much of him. I did see him come on in their last game before the international break, where they absolutely pumped Villa, and Mark Gahey scored that screamer, and everyone thought that was his goodbye gift. But yeah, for me, just not good enough, and I've gone with a D.
I think C minus overall seems
Yeah.
about right. To be honest
Yeah,
with you, lads.
I'd say so. Yeah. Alrighty, so we'll now move on to the other side of Merseyside, Everton. Which Liverpool fan would like to kick this off then?
I'm one of the lads who can stay neutral because I'm a football fan first before I'm a fan of any club.
Off you go.
Let
Off
me.
you go, then, Miguel.
Everton were one of the winners of the window for me. Excellent recruitment, really excellent recruitment. This is an A window for me. For the Diblink, playing alongside Jack Grealish, and David Moyes is not one of those managers who will restrict players of their creativity. He knows that Grealish and Diblink will flourish with freedom, and he's just gonna let them at it. Tierno Barry from Villarreal, whose career is on the ascendancy. If you look at the statistics, brilliant acquisition, brilliant replacement for Calvert-Lewin. Dewsbury Hall, Everton is his level, will not do a bad job. Adam Asanu from Bayern Munich is a major coup. A major coup. This is the one deal that I was like, yo, Everton are actually acting with some ambition. Now, Adam Asanu, a 19-year-old Moroccan international, like, that's incredible business. Carlos Alcaraz also on a permanent deal, like, will provide the creativity and energy in midfield. As for departures, not much to talk about from Everton's point of view. Committee on a permanent departure for 8.6 million euros. That's ridiculous. For somebody who did nothing at Everton, that's a solid little business. Calvert-Lewin on a free to Leeds. I'll touch on Calvert-Lewin, but I don't think that's a miss. I don't think that's a miss. Maybe Decore's departure on for nothing is a bit of a disappointment. It would be better to get some money for him, especially with his quality as that box-to-box rock of a midfielder. But overall, A for me. Brilliant window for Everton. I'm gonna be brutally honest.
Hey, well, I've given them a B plus. I think they've had a great window for a club who's always fighting relegation. And for a lot of last season, that's what they were doing. But they always seem to pull it together at the right time and avoid the drop. In terms of their business this summer, they have made some great deals. Like you say, bringing in Jack Grealish is one of the big ones for me. Uh, Another up and coming talent in Tyler Dibling for 40 million, a solid midfield player in Dewsbury Hall, and Tierno Barry for 27 million. Again, like Chelsea, only really losing average squad players. I think it's been a very good window for Everton, which absolutely pains me because where was this kind of signings when David Moyes was in charge of West Ham? Probably to do with the board, won't not giving him any leeway. But if this was the kind of signings he could have made without basically having a free flow, then goodness me. But yeah, for me, I think it's been a very good window for Everton. I've given him a B plus.
Yeah, I've gone very much along the same line. I think it's been an amazing window for Everton, as much as it pains me to say it. I've also given them an A. I think, the signing of Grealish is going to be probably their marquee signing. He's already shown what he can do. He's got 4 assists in however many games, 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
I think the signings of Barry and Diblin are going to prove very, very good signings, both young. If they kick on, you've got them for 5, 6, 7 years. Alcaraz on a free was very good for them last. Not on a free, on a permanent was very good for them last season. And yeah, I think it's just been a very, very solid window for them.
Okay, so we've got my B plus with your guys A. So I think that averages about an A minus.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah.
All
Do you
right,
think
so
that?
go on.
I have one more question, Phil. Do you think that it would have been an A for you if they handled the better departures? Would you say?
If they what? Sorry, can you repeat that?
if they managed to better departures, because they didn't pull out many departures, like apart from like Chimiti and a couple lads on a free, not much has left.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I was tempted to give them a higher rating. I just think with the players that they have and the players they've brought in, obviously is night and day. The players they brought in are absolutely fantastic, but it still remains to be seen. Like, so obviously Tyler Dibling, they're probably hopefully touting him as the next Anthony Gordon. But he's still young and it still needs to be proven. Obviously, Jack Grealish is the one that is going to be your main stake player, like Jake said. But I did think about a higher rating, but I settled on a B plus in the end.
That's fair. No, I was just wondering. It just caught my eye, basically.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to Fulham. Jake, do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, underwhelming. That's all I can really say. I think the signing of Kevin, who I've never heard of prior to this transfer window, I can't really comment on. I know of Kusiasar from Football Manager, and that's about as far as that'll go. He's 18, he's young. A loan fee of 4 million. Obviously, we'll see what happens with that, but as an it's just been a very, very underwhelming transfer window for Fulham. A D minus is the best I can give. The signing of Chukwuemeka, not Chukwuemeka, Chukwueze, I think could be a very good signing. A bit of European qualities. He's played top flight football. He's played, I think, Champions League football with AC Milan, so that can only be a good thing. But from an all round point of view, I just think it's been a very underwhelming window for Fulham.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've given him a C minus, just like you, pretty much exactly everything you've said. Notably as well, Andreas Pereira heading to Palmeiras for 9 million could be a good bit of business. I'm not sure. I think he was a good player for Fulham, so to lose him is a bit of a loss. I haven't really seen anything good or bad in terms of Fulham's ingoings or outgoings. There's a bit of a very quiet window from Fulham. I expect them to have a decent season, nowhere near the drop, but again, probably not near those European places. It's going to be another one of those seasons for Fulham, so I've given them a C minus. Mikkel?
D for me. Very underwhelming window. We cannot forget also well, Tyreek George was meant to arrive at Fulham, but that deal collapsed at the last minute. We don't know exactly the details, but he would have been a fresh, exciting face at Craven Cottage. Kevin, very excited about him. Very promising left winger from Shakhtar Donetsk. 22 years old. He just needs time to adjust to the Premier League, but I think Fulham fans will adore him. Chukwueze on a loan, really solid, experience in the Champions League, scored a win against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. But overall, it's just a stagnating window. Fulham are just stop starts for me. They're just settled. I think this will be probably the weakest season of Marcus Silva's reign, but yeah, just a D for me. Not much to say here. Andres Pereira's departure felt inevitable, especially with rumblings of the previous summer when he was meant to go to either Marseille or back to Brazil. But it just very standstill for Fulham, basically, for me.
Okay. So I think in terms of our ratings, I think we're averaging about a D then for Fulham.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds fair.
All right, so a D for Fulham then. So, as we said, guys, this is going to be the first of a two-part transfer window. We didn't want to shove it all in one video to overwhelm you. So, this is the end of our transfer window teams 1 to 10. And obviously, next week on Friday, you will be able to catch the 11 to 20 as we round up the rest of the transfer window. But once again, I will say it for everyone that it's fantastic to be back. We've really missed you guys, and we cannot wait to see you every Friday at 6 p.m. Cheers, guys.
Be easy, people.